S.O.A.R. by Louis T.E. ManyCouches. Sayings, observations, allegations, reasonings. A cautionary preface. I ain't no Sun Tzu. If anything, I might write The Art of Bore. One, you are the guide. You are the ride. You are the way, the truth, the life. You are the map. You are the path. You are the footsteps and the sight. Two, sometimes I strive to remind myself, when reflecting annoyedly on perceived ignorances of others, that many too are my ignorances in this resonant cacophony of existence. Three, you know how when Sunday turns to Wednesday in the twinkling of an eye, and your body be interrogating you, motherfucker, why? But then your spirit responds and says, calm down. It was written long ago. Everything we traverse is the destiny of soul. So mix me up some gin with a healthy splash of crush. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't in no rush. Our covenant is sacred. We have unleashed our creed. The stems and caps have spoken. We will never be in need. Days at Douglas Palace. In a Douglas Palace days. Fellowshipping epically in the Douglas Palace ways. Epiphanies and lullabies and harmonies amaze. What happens at Douglas Palace? Forever with you stays. Four, is not many still but some? Is not all still but one? Five, may we have a levity about the brevity of our cardiopulmonary activity. For sufficient sensibility illuminates a clarity that we are littered with divinity. In the flesh or apart from its fragility. 6, may our fit not be an abbreviation for force it, nor forfeit. Often, fuck it seems a nice fit. 7, now can sometimes be perceived as a microscopic 7 again. Now can sometimes be perceived as a microscopic neuron shark infested island surrounded by illusory oceans of past, future, and hypothetical alternative nows. 8. Fear not. Even now, the unveiling is unfolding, whilst already being completed. What a glorious apocalypse it is. A masterstroke of messianic proportions. 9. I've had a lot of talking to do, and perhaps much more to do, in the process of learning how to speak. Silence seems to be a most complex language to master. 10. From bender to bender, oh, I surrender. Roughed up when it's over, though during, oh, so sweetly pseudo-tender. Enticing levity from often utterly dangerous lenders. Exploring imbibement as placebo. For the splendor. 11. For such a time as this, may we grow in our reconciliation practices for Goliath. For the realization of the completion of the redemption of everything made in, through, and by the eternal word, the Logos. May Goliath be redeemed, even if I need be slayed. It is finished. "12. Our actions often scream, acknowledge me! Poorly disguised beckonings to be the focus of idolatry. 13. Oh, to yearn to have our hands held. Just to settle for our handhelds. 14. We win when we put a W before our whole and realize we are inherently, inevitably, and perpetually complete. 15. Balance owes its debt of gratitude to extremes. 16. We are a causal consequence of the intent of God, no less than the rest of what is. 17. Existence is the improvisation of God. 18. May it be reiterated, lest we forget, we are the fish, we are the net, we are the caution, we are the bet, we are the dry, we are the sweat. 19. Attempted kindness without truth can be catastrophic, for it may enable its recipient to remain stranded in the valley of victimization. 20. Balance can 20. Balance can disenfranchise one from those committed to behavioral and contemplative extremes. Yet, ironically, balance appears to be the amalgamation of all such extremes. 21. We cannot always visualize God, even though we perpetually visualize God. 22. In one plane of existence, dehydration appears to be a causal perpetuator of increased thirst. In other planes of existence, thirstiness appears to be a causal perpetuator of increased dehydration. 23. We become oblivious to many ancient angers when we treat ourselves like total fucking strangers. 24. There's been many times I've felt things like utterly alone, in the company of friends, in the absence of foes. Sobriety is cool and all, but my spirit has often groaned. If I must face the jeweler's flame, I'd rather do it set in stone. 25. If you make me feel safe, I'll go to dangerous places with you. 26. You have no idea what you're talking about, yet you confidently talk. That's comedy gold mixed with tragedy bronze, infused with subtle silver lining. 27. Beware of those that kick it with you in moments of passion, only to vanish in moments of ration. 28. Allow me to cry without the obsessive compulsion toward asking me why. 29. Are you stealing energy, or are you wiser than that? Or are you taking out credit you can't ever pay back? $30. The night shines what the light blinds. $31. For fear of having, we fail to give. For fear of dying, we fail to live. $32. Spoken and written language are often encumbrances to communication. Nothing more than grunts, symbols, punctuation marks, and passages that are often employed as tools to conceal more than they delineate. $33. To want what is no more is like trying to breathe on the ocean floor. Great are they who depart from the confinements of want, from the countless lusts that lead to desire's overdose. 34. In a world that feigns affection, our paths seem paved with pure rejection. Due to absence of reflection, lack of knowledge, of intention. $35. It could be that any pursuit of clarity with the intention of its full acquisition at any given moment is tantamount to trying to drink a gallon of water, a dose better reserved for the course of a day, in 30 seconds. Such an effort would, at best, be nauseating and could prove fatal. Clarity often lies in wait over the course of varying degrees of what we perceive as time. Some court it after traversing lifetimes over 100 years. Others court it after but relatively few years, while some are inundated with it seemingly from their start. Whatever one's lifespan may consist of. Whatever one's lifespan may consist of, one should be wary of presuming to court clarity prematurely, being at great peril of only encountering the illusions thereof, or the dangers thereof, for the unprepared. Encounter each moment in a non-dramatized, matter-of-fact, brutally honest with yourself manner. Allow clarity to wash over you as it so chooses. Allow it to avoid you when it must. $36. We are the sacrifices upon the altars of our own construction. $37. What we were representing was a pursuit of truthful love. What we often got and gave were parodies of truth and antonyms of love. 38. It often seems unlikely or exceedingly rare that there exists such a thing as absolutely pure intention in humanity's current general modus operandi. Perhaps if we were simply honest about that, our intentions would naturally purify themselves and emanate from us like well springs of living water. $39. Recipes can become neuroses. $40. There seems to be a very fine line between careless and nefarious. 41. Sometimes it's bar soap for the hair. Sometimes it's shampoo for the taint. Always blessed with options for ascending from constraint. $42. There was a time when I was gripped by fear of the worldview they espoused, let alone fear of the ramifications they preached for failing said worldview. Then I was afraid of their ridicule toward me over my expressions of disagreement with said worldview. Next, I tried vehemently to convince some of them of their misinterpretation of what is, mindful myself neither of optimal wisdom, nor balance, nor my exact interpretation of what is. Thankful for having navigated these states of consciousness and countless other states of consciousness. Now, I venture onward down the path. $43. We are hard-pressed to extinguish the presence of impropriety, so long as we continue to cherish the presence of impropriety. $44. May a simple peace proliferate, rooted in a realization of inherent enoughness and a longing to be oriented in truth, not dismayed by others' perceptions or by our own perceptions of their perceptions. May it be an indescribable recognition and application in our lives that they are I and we are one. All edgedly. $45. When we act out anger and combativeness over perceived or actual grievances, it seems often to be among the camouflaged mechanisms we employ to justify our refusal to forge into the endless caverns of our internal depths of awareness and unawareness, understanding and complete confusion, etc. These things exist within and are alchemized within. Assimilating the many apparent paradoxes can seem to be a daunting and frustrating venture. $46. There exists a sort of alone that is not satiated by company. There exists an aching that is not mended expeditiously. Where does one navigate? Where does one navigate when no turn is indicated? No distance perceivable. Perhaps tears are sometimes the only apparent navigation method. Sorrow, the only apparent destination to travel to and through on the path to the endless, from that which never began. Seems dreadfully cyclical, perhaps even cynical. Such is the case from time to time. May we honor the totality of what is by allowing even our despair to be aired without feeling the need to always stay positive. "47. It feels very excruciating to feel broken, but unable to break down with someone. Either because you don't think you matter, or because they don't appear to have the time, willingness, bandwidth, or wherewithal to provide a medium and space for you to break down in whatever difficult form you must. Sometimes it seems plainly obvious, yet other times it is hard not to wonder. What the fuck is the point of continuing to go through these endless motions? These difficult personal inquiries can be devastatingly disconcerting, yet they appear to be mandatory and unavoidable in the realization process. Honor where you are. If it's an era of epicness, live it up and feel the gratitude and butterflies of bounty. Understanding that this too shall likely pass. If it's an era of or worse, acknowledge, vent, and state your fuck yous to the universe. To the universe. To the perceived or actual individuals that you feel bear culpability. Allow yourself the grace to feel out, often awkwardly, the excruciating nuances of life. Understanding that this, too, shall likely pass. "48. Where have all the words gone? They were always there before. Sure, they didn't really represent balance, but wasn't that good enough? Words that sounded good and introduced the illusion of knowledge always seemed to be a sufficient opium. Stronger and longer lasting than most any other substance or immaterial construct. We eat words up, even while we're vomiting them. Assumptions drawn even from seemingly sound and valid statements, once having felt so good, now only leave withdrawal symptoms before a sentence is finished. Words are complicating, hollow, deceptive. There is perhaps no easier way to lie to someone than with words that falsely insinuate truth. Essentially, words marry music, sounds, tone, tempo, etc. And with paintbrushes such as conversational implicature, dialogue often courts deceit and commences the journey to death's door. This happens not only in interpersonal communication, but also, and perhaps more important to identify, in our own internal self-dialogue. Words being the tonal and abstract labels we apply to natural phenomena and states of feeling, in themselves can appear meaningless to the listener of that which transcends the letters, tones, and tempos. Humans seem periodically aware of this transcendent world, but the transcendent world does not seem to be being pursued with fervor. Perhaps because that pursuit can be fear-inducing in a more primal way than crossing a wild animal intent on doing us harm. On this planet, a quaintest side of existence, the forces of infinity are at work in an atrium, a zoo, where the bound are building spaceships to explore the boundless. We build, then destroy, wash, rinse, repeat. We court enlightenment in the subtle, only moments later to ridicule ourselves for paying such little childlike peace any fraction of our attention. After all, there are wars to wage, conquests to continue. Perhaps images like World War II or any other number of human geopolitical conflicts come to mind. But amateur hour warfare is not what I meant. Even non-human animals fight like toddlers over perceived scarcity of resources, greed, and the like. These are the most honest of our wars, where we choose to be killed and to kill. This honesty is often convoluted by much subterfuge. Guns and nukes are not the primary weapons of true psychopathic warfare. The carelessness of our interpersonal human relationships, especially as it pertains to our negligent use of words, this is war. Look no more for the next great war. You're in it. Would you prefer to be a medic for the world and worlds to come, using the bright magic of words when called for and shutting up when necessary? Or would you prefer to ignore the ramifications of the war of the words and perpetuate the ongoing micro and macro conflicts that are devastating our species? I have come to know I often need to shut up. Confuse not my silence for disinterest. Ironically, I have a feeling I may have more words to utter from time to time. Perhaps words are not all guns and nukes, but they do emit massive radiation that either eradicates cancer culture or proliferates cancer culture. The war of our world is a war of our words. May the peacemakers arise. 49. Is the universe a massive e pluribus unum? Can it truly be realized as one? 50. The various justifications for human on human crime in the form of geopolitical scuffles, they are many, and often subjectively agenda laden. Very war arbitrary. 51. Perhaps heaven is the byproduct of xeriscaping hell. "52. There's nowhere to go, yet everywhere to be. We roleplay as captive until we admit we are free." The succulent tale of free will's destiny. 53. An indescribable peace in solitude exists past ages of codependency. 54. Woe be unto various gatekeepers of truth, pastors, therapists, politicians, and so on. Many are the pricks that subsidize. Many are the pricks that subsidize subterfuge. You string them along through fear till their money is gone or your cancers run out. You sow seeds of shame and of fear and of doubt. A projection, no doubt. While what you sow unto them, you reap unto you. The sword of the Spirit will embark on reproof. Hell comes to play as illusion of separation. An illusion you'll court as consequence of your manipulation. Fear not, you manipulative gatekeepers of truth. The woe will invade your caverns of thought, a darkness be felt for the trauma you've wrought. As long as it takes to ascend from the rot, in anguish traversed in the caverns of knots. Your heroes will be the people you screwed through mountains of greed and judgments imbued. They shall show that the they was always the you. That the you is the we, and that oneness is truth. "55. Bless my friends. Bless my enemies. Bless me, the quintessential frenemy. 56. Our civilization, through many of its ways of functioning, has helped facilitate indoctrination toward fear of death, fear of lacking, fear of loneliness, and fears of countless other things that we inundate our psyches with. It may be the case that these are among the things we must gradually traverse as we come to an awareness of the infinite grandeur of the cosmos, the interconnectedness of all that is, and the inevitable and incontrovertible fact that the infinite spark occupies us all. These certainties remain, even in the absence of realization, from time to time. The guru of Ram Dass is said to have asserted to him that no one dies too early or too late. Socrates said, "The wise man seeks death all his life, and for this reason death is not terrifying to him." Epictetus said, "Why, do you not know, then, that the origin of all human evils, and of baseness and cowardice, is not death, but rather the fear of death?" Marcus Aurelius said, "Perfection of character is this, to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense." Anyway, we traverse what we traverse. It is all going to be okay. All edgedly. 57. The question, can God learn? Is an interesting rhetorical device that may present a dilemma for the prepared mind that hasn't settled into dogmatic concrete, or to one that has had vegetation begin to break through and loosen the once settled concrete. It presents the illusion of paradox, potentially confounding, depending on how one might define God. For if God can learn, it appears to not be omniscient. And if God cannot learn, it appears to be not omnipotent. And if God cannot learn and not learn simultaneously, it can appear to not be. Or it can appear to be totality, omnipresence itself, omni. '58. Sometimes I want to be like, I don't know what Jesus you claim to proclaim. Shit. Excuse me. 58. Sometimes I want to be like, I don't know what Jesus you claim to proclaim some sort of message of, but gee, he sucks. The exclamation resounds from long ago, "Let my people go!" '59. Most games of chess are not oriented in optimal precision, meaning that most games of chess boil down to damage control and maximizing on opposition missteps when they are recognized. In that way, chess is like life. Well, at least my hot mess chess. 60. Some thoughts spurred from the satirical or serious undertones surrounding the question of the existence of aliens, and the alleged disinterest of many folks, likely due to the tremendous fatigue of traversing the societal industrial complex. Aliens may show us the way to no-cost living, incomprehensible abundance, and monumental ease. Each of these transcends agenda-laden artificial scarcity, as well as countless other nefariously and corruptly oriented proclivities of the occupants of this watery marble, with our various macro and microcosmic conflicts. The occupants of this planet, a home we treat so recklessly, have a strange affinity for things like representation and leadership and control in all their overt manifestations and poorly constructed disguises, as opposed to good faith self-governance and good faith interpersonal dynamics. One wonders if we are ready for the voluminous variables surrounding the departure from such frail modes of functioning. One wonders if we deserve such abundance, or if we need a few more millennia of the Dark Ages. '61. Stockholm Syndrome species. Can you hear these cries for help? Screaming from eternity, from the caverns of the self, suggesting that your worth transcends the pendulum of wealth. Serenading you serendipitously toward harmonization, hope, and health. Genesis 3:11. Who told you that you were naked? He asked. Have you been eating from that tree that I forbade you to eat? Two questions asked. Only the latter answered in all its responsibility-deferring glory. First by the masculine energy, then by the feminine energy. The serpent wasn't even interrogated, and interestingly, was the only entity in the story that didn't defer responsibility. Seemingly the most ancient and perhaps only sin there is, deferral of responsibility. That's neither here nor there, though. I digress. One question in many shapes still rings through the ages, begging for an answer. Who told you that you were naked? Who told you that you were unclean? Who told you that you were not enough? Who told you that you were incapable? Who told you that you were less than? Who told? You? '63. Myopic mindsets, off-balance pirouettes, self-catching dragnets, totality subsets. Ancestral secrets breed generational regrets. For fear of pride threats, proliferating trauma vets. Dark night of the soul sweats. We are the we threats. We are the winning bets. Infinite wavelets. '64. If the good die young, hopefully the old die good. '65. The billions bow down to the thousands. The thousands divide all the billions and cast lots for the trillions. The billions attack one another. The thousands run safe for their cover. The thousands rejoice in their opulence. The billions cling to imaginary friends. Reason sits back, watches, and despairs. Neither comes to the shore of her able defense. Regardless of all of this chaos, infinite creatures behaving like slaves. Sudden death will be the end of these playoffs. We'll all know it's just shadows in caves. Shall we put an end to this madness? Shall the billions and thousands mature? Let there be love, peace, and balance. Let us transcend this thick cultural manure. 66. One possible way to mitigate unchecked arrogance is to always bear in mind that no matter who you are, there can arise inconvenient times to have to take a shit. $67. Eventually it ends up not mattering. For it had always been energy. $68. Why borrow yesterday's or tomorrow's worries only to pay interest on them now? $69. We carry out the miraculous only when we realize it is ordinary. $70. Perhaps we are only truly able when we are vulnerable. Perhaps ergo the spelling of the latter. $71. You have to feel all the way through the fuck you before you can feel all the way through the I forgive you. $72. Darkness seems to be an effect of obstruction by some entity or concept of light, and an appearance from certain vantage points of a shadow cast. Perhaps the material realm is a shadow cast by some obstruction of light. Perhaps that obstruction is non-realization of the illusion of separation. If separation is an illusion, then perhaps non-realization is inextricably connected to realization. Darkness and light. Perhaps this conglomerate inextricability is God, or at least one infinitieth thereof. $73. In the context of infinity, the largest number conceivable is still closer to zero than it is to the largest number inconceivable. $74. We are vessels for the conductivity, alchemization, and expression of energy. The vessel itself is energy. The energy is of one inexhaustible source that never began. The source and the vessel are one. $75. A lot of Christian individuals seem to care less about being the definition of that word, Christ-like, anointed one that happens to anoint, and more about maintaining the economic and political infrastructure that allows them to pretend they are materially or spiritually superior. Perhaps because they have yet to forge within and, by so doing, meet the God they claim to profess and the devil they claim to fight. Pardon me, I shall venture to return to the log in my own eye. '76. Sometimes answers can be as malignant as a word it rhymes with. '77. Perhaps prayer is more akin to acceptance than it is to petition. '78. Comparisons can be roadblocks, detours from comprehension. '79. If there are any boundaries, there are only boundaries. If there are only boundaries, there are no boundaries. '80. I am spirit the winner. I am the weakness of bod. I am an expert beginner. I am tragically flawed. I am abundance delivered. I am the path that is trod. I am chief among sinners. I am image and likeness of God. I am. '81. Do you not know? Have you not heard? You think you're not all? Is that not absurd? All implies not. Lizard implies bird. Stillness implies thought. The Maya of death implies that something occurred. Existence replete with traumas incurred and dramatizations of traumas inferred. '82. Growth and decay, they take turns. They beset me. Be not dismayed. Inevitability. Be it only this lifetime or several infinities. Growth and decay, replete with meaning, or maybe futility. A trippy divinity. '83. Can you see the water behind the reflection? Can you see the water on the reflection? '84. A lesson sometimes learned the hard way. Take not invitations for granted. For one day, invitations might not be granted. '85. If I never ever wake up again. Thank you for the beautiful journey it's been. 86. If God was an ostrich, we'd be her head in the sand. We'd also be the sand. '87. Perhaps paradise is hell-leavened bread, land of the living and of the dead. 88. Purify my heart. Instruct me in your ways. Purify my heart. Instruction lies in wait. Purity in heart. Existence echoes praise. They shan't be split apart. Free will mates with fate. '89. The incontrovertibleness of inevitability beckons for all that not is futility. Objective is truth, veiled non-subjectivity, bestowing on all responsibility, divinity. 90. Life's bittersweet. Hello. Goodbye. Then death's cum shot from the third eye. Regarding joy and sorrow, tears grow dry. Fused with being, transcending. Why? Unfettered, separation subsides. Life's ejaculate again abides. Behold as one the shore, the tides. The lost is found, even while it hides. Collage of eternal tries, inexhaustible supply. The egg forever fertilized. Life and death supreme allies. You? Existence's disguise. Existence? You realized. 91. Everything that is foretold by causality. All that seems nice, all that seems like a malady. One is the cream that floats to the top of duality. Nothing the all. A dream, this reality. 92. The birds and the bees and Socrates, mythical subliminal intensities, inundating multiple densities, 6 and 9 distinct decrees, magic in the form of threes, profound are the absurdities, discovered in all edged mysteries, in frightened mediocrities, through histrionic jealousies, through all redundant revelries, body, mind, and soul. Release. Love, the mean of war and peace. 93. We are often the fuels to the fires we claim to long to extinguish. 94. Oh, what a fascinating roller coaster ride when manic and panic diverge and collide. Obfuscating oblivion, order and chaos coincide. Resilience and fragility simultaneously arrive. But sometimes manic isn't panic in disguise. Sometimes it's Titanic trying to rise from the depths of seas of self-defeating lies to the ocean. Of the omnipresent wise. '95. We are but a part of infinity displayed. We are but the whole of infinity arrayed. Enslaved unto material, our true material enslaved. Blinded with vision, authenticity decayed. The schizophrenic all itself it searches out, perceiving all as separate, it remembers not its clout. The pendulum proliferates, its frequency unclear. Yet nothing that we seek is separate from the here. '96. An emptiness aching for essence, grasping for straws in each substance, filling the holes with some sips and some bowls, along with toxic, refined, processed junk we call food. To vilify and judge those who dig deeper, digs deeper the hole in our essence. Instead of learning to savor the mundane, we foster a sick effervescence. Now once it is all boiled over to gone and the furnace is clogged with non-substantive fog, a choice will remain to honor the mundane or worship the poisons that clutter the clog. Cause and effect will teach us their lessons. Unbiased, unfiltered, they speak. The effects of infinite causes reflect a continuum built on one cause's effect. May peace, balance, and love be yours. Thank you for being. Okay, love you, bye.